Hi, and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, and today we have 3 beers that I am extremely excited to try. Not only is it from what is probably what I feel to be the best brewery in the country, or certainly one could argue that, this is their somewhat new Barrelworks souring program beers, 3 beers from it. So really kind of cool stuff that would never typically walk in the door here at the Beer Temple. We carry a lot of Firestone Walker, but as of now, the Barrelworks stuff does not make it outside of Firestone Walker, or California at least, as far as I know. So what is Barrelworks? As a lot of you probably know, Firestone Walker is based in Paso Robles, California. They make beers of all sorts, but they really weren't doing a lot of sour stuff, at least not on a production scale. They would maybe do one-offs and stuff like that, but that kind of changed several years ago. They got this Barrelworks program started. It's actually quite a distance from the Firestone Walker Brewery. I think it's like an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And it's not really where, Matt Brynildson is a pretty famous brewmaster in terms of how famous a brewmaster can be. He does not have the direct oversight of these beers. Sure, the beers are brewed at Firestone Walker, but then they're often, trucked down to the Barrelworks program, where they're then managed by 2 other guys. This guy, Sour Jim, and Jeffers Richards. I think they're on the, Jeffers Richardson. Really awesome guy. In fact, I can say without any hesitation, I have never met anybody who works at Firestone Walker who was not absolutely awesome, passionate, and just really kind of totally with it. And I mean people on the sales side, the brewing side. I even met one of their engineers and was just kind of floored by how into beer. And this guy had gone and taken, formal beer classes at, I think, like Siebel or UC Davis, and he was, doing packaging lines and stuff like that. So I cannot tell you how I am just routinely impressed by this brewery. Anyway, enough of me going on and on. They're making sour beers now, and these 3 walked through. I cannot believe, I don't remember the name of the gentleman who brought these in. He brought me a homemade lambic, actually a goose, I think, last time, which is really cool, and he brought me these 3 this time. So thank you so much. The first beer that we'll try is, and I may have to pause it, open the store, and start again. I got a little bit of a late start, surprise, surprise, but I don't want to cut this show short. It's just, I'm having too much fun already. Anyway, the first beer I will try is called Feral One, and the reason I'm doing this one first is because it's the first official bottling from Barrelworks. So we'll give it a try, and it's, generally, I think it's just a blend. I think it's a American Wild Ale, and it's a blend, and I think that's all there is to say about it. A lot of these beers, have some of the old favorites as the base beers, like DBA and maybe, Opal. Obviously, in the case of the Little Opal, is their Saison and stuff like that. Some of them are brewed specifically for Barrelworks, I would imagine. So, as you can see, this is a blonde ale. It's a little bit cloudy, good amount of foam on there, white, fluffy head. Man, okay, so the first thing I got was a lemony tart note to it. The second thing I got was almost like a fresh oak, not necessarily coconut or vanilla, but like fresh cut wood, very oaky. There's definitely a white wine quality to it as well. I just cannot get over this like wood sawdust note. Really, it's funny. If you smell at different parts of the glass, you will smell different things, I have found. So when you're smelling, smell all over the glass. It might look silly to other people, but who cares? Oh, it's funny. I'm getting much more of the sawdust down here. And it's a more almost like just pure oak up here. A little bit of funkiness, a little bit of mustiness. A lot of Brett. What a well put together beer. Give me a moment, I'm gonna open my store. So balance is what I was talking about before. And it's certainly acid forward, sour forward. This is a sour beer. It is tamed, I think, a lot by the wood. It's funny that these woody characters and almost some of these tannins are helping to, I think, balance out the sourness and add some complexity to it, as well as the Brett character, kind of the funky esters of the yeast as well. It's certainly a yeasty beer, and just awesome. Reminds me a lot of kind of the Russian River style sour blondes, like Temptation or something like that. A more oaky than a Temptation, but lactic, not acetic at all. Really delicious kind of fruity finish to it as well, almost like a white peach or yeah, kind of like this white peach thing that, and the wood is just kind of like spicing it. Really awesome stuff. Wow, if this was, but who's surprised? You know, this is the first thing that Firestone Walker releases from their Barrelworks program, and it's world-class American sour right out of the gates. So cool. Okay, the next one is the Bretta Weisse. So, this is going to be a, whoa, Berliner Weisse. Will it explode? No. It's going to be a Berliner Weisse barrel-aged with Brett. So it's definitely kind of a unique twist on it, or certainly not a traditional take on this beer, which is typically, you know, just lactobacillus. I'm sure there's lacto in here as well, but Bretta lets me know that there's some Brett too. And really light and clear, not crystal clear, but pretty darn close to it. Light, but certainly not as light as this style gets, so there's a little bit of a golden touch to it, and a nice big fluffy head, which is accurate to style. This is a typically pretty highly carbonated version. Much more subtlety. I'm actually getting grain when I smell this beer. Or, yeah, it's not as big and doesn't jump out at you like this one. Almost like some apple skin on here. A little bit of like an omelette-y note to it, a little bit of an eggy, not sulfurous, but like omelet. Hints of pepper. Very mild. A really kind of, not quite chalky, but this yogurty note to it, much more than I get in a lot of other Berliners, because you can actually taste it because the sourness isn't over the top. It's very mildly sour for the style. You can actually drink this beer pretty easily, 4.9%, and it goes down like it's a percent less than even that. I'm almost getting a little bit of like an unripe strawberry too. Really nice. Maybe some banana, just hints though, just like subtle notes to it. But in general, it's like this graininess, this cereal quality to it. Also really nice, very delicate, which is kind of cool. All right, so it's been merely 2.5 hours since I drank this beer. I was talking about the little Opal, I believe. This is the only one that I've had before. The store is now open, and there are people like walking around, working and shopping, so whatever. It just is what it is. Little Opal I had before. I had it on draft. I believe it's a barrel-aged, soured version of their Opal Saison, but I think this one switches around a lot. So it's 75% French, 25% American oak, over a year in oak, and it's got Brett and lacto in it. So we'll see how this one's doing. This is the first Barrelworks beer I've ever had, and it pours like beautifully clear, nice big fluffy head, very nice golden ale. Hold on. Now this one I'm also getting kind of that eggy note, some of that omelette-y quality too, but a little bit of sulfur in this one. Maybe it'll blow off. In addition to that, definitely some of the kind of the more earthy Brett, kind of that dusty quality to it, and a little bit of that white peach as well. But much more subtle. In a way, it's kind of a combination of these two. It's got that graininess, not really much sour from the Lacto, which is surprising. A bunch of wood, so certainly not as much as here, but you've got that young wood character to it, some graininess. I'm not quite getting the same yogurty note, a little bit of acid, but not a whole heck of a lot. And just kind of a balanced, almost like much more like Saison beer. Well, it's got a Saison base to it. But it's amazing that this spent 14 months in oak. Just really nicely put together. And I'm not getting as much of that sulfur anymore. I don't know if now I'm accustomed to it or if it's kind of blowing off in the glass. I don't know, but really nice. Really fun stuff. I mean, just stuff I would really never have imagined would just kind of walk in the door, and I'm excited to be able to share it with everybody. Thanks. For you, it probably was just a cut, but for us, it took, you know, several hours to get this show out. You'll probably now see it's much brighter in here. Been a while since we did a show while the store was open. Thanks, guys. As always, if you have any questions, email them to me at info@craftbeertemple.com, where you can leave comments or anything, you know, comments on our website, craftbeertemple.com, or on Facebook. And if you like the show, ratings and reviews on iTunes are always much appreciated. Until next time, guys, I've got some awesome Firestone Walker Barrelworks beers to drink, and hopefully you do too, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. These are pretty cool. Cheers, guys. All right, that is done.